Hi, my name's Bruce. This is my van. Welcome to the van tour. I moved to Oz about 13 years ago and realized that this is a pretty fabulous place to explore. So a year ago I got the opportunity to buy this bus. This van is a Mercedes Sprinter. It's medium wheelbase with a high roof. I particularly wanted the medium wheelbase because I can still fit it in a standard parking space, and I definitely wanted the high roof because I wanted the full stand-up. The model is a 311 CDI. I think that's a 2.1 litre turbo diesel engine, and I believe the year is a 2010. I bought the vehicle from someone in our neighborhood. I believe he paid $14,000 for it in auction and then spent another $6,000 or so having it painted white and grey. And then I bought the vehicle from him for, I think it was $22,000. My budget all up was $35,000, and I think in the end I came in at just over $36,000. This is the front of the van. I haven't done anything particular in the van except for adding a swivel seat in the front here. So that's really pretty simple to operate. You just need to slide it forward and flick a button and around she turns, and then adjust it. I haven't put any storage shelf up here, which a lot of people do, because I wanted to be able to move in and out of the driver's seat. The advantage of not having the storage here is it gives you an extra meter or so of living space once you've put all the curtains and blinds up at night. The inside of the roof lining is fully packed with insulation. And then I've also put some hooks and some Velcro here to put the curtains and the blinds up at night or when the van is parked up. The van's been fitted with an ultra high frequency two-way radio, and I travel a fair amount and road trip a fair amount with friends with vans, so the idea is they get similar radios and we can talk to each other on the road. Often we're in places where there's no mobile signal. I've also added just a little steering knob which I bought online. It makes for quick, easy maneuvering the van. This particular van has really good power steering, so it's pretty easy to get in and out of tight spaces by just swiveling the knob. I chose the layout where I have the bed and sofa further forward because I wanted to have the ability to create an L-shaped sitting area with the swivel seat in the front. And I also didn't want the permanent fixed bed at the back. I wanted the luxury of space, so I came up with this design of kind of like a rock and roll bed in the old combis, but slightly more modern mechanisms. So the steel frame to the sofa bed was professionally built. That's because it needed to be engineered for the seat belts that I wanted fitted. So because the seat is side facing, the only thing that you're allowed are lap belts, and they're bolted into the back here, and I simply flick the backrest forward and pull the seat belts through, and I'm done. They're pretty simple. You just clip them together. There's another two lap belts that pull through, and that allows me to get 3 additional passengers in the van, so a total of 5. So to open it or adjust it to a more comfortable angle, I just pull the backrest forward, which is held on by magnets onto the shelf, and there's a couple of little spaces where I can find a hole that I've made, and then the sofa is reclines at more of an angle. When I need to go to sleep, I simply slide the bed forward from either end or the middle and flip this section back, and I can drop this little shelf down. And I do have another piece of foam if I want to make the bed wider than it currently is. I opted to keep my water tanks internally because I didn't need all of this space for storage underneath. So we've divided it into 2 sections. I've got approximately 180 litres of fresh water in these tanks. I have a filling point towards the back of the van, and then all the plumbing runs underneath the floor. The bigger storage section, I've got a pull-out drawer which pulls out from the front where I normally store my bedding for easy access from the front. So I've mounted the battery just behind the driver's seat, and access is through this panel at the top here. Inside here I've got my battery, leisure battery or second battery. I've got the DC to DC charger and solar regulator over here, and towards the front I've got an inverter that I use for charging appliances. So this van has quite a wide step into it. So when I built the floor, I made sure that the floor stuck out towards the edge here, and then just shaped enough of a step that I needed. And what that did is created a space for all my wet bits, and they all just get held in by some elastic that I can quickly flip on and off if I need to get to it. Also, the tent poles fit underneath here, and they just simply collapse and click straight in. One of the things that I wanted to avoid was having to pull all sorts of tables and chairs out just to make lunch. So I've created this little flap down table. It's held up by a magnet, and it's just a great little spot to put down a drink or a cup of coffee, or to put some snacks and food. And then moving a little bit more into the van, I've got some drawers here. And again, I built them to the side of the cabinet and not the front, because number one, it gives me nice deep drawers. And secondly, it can be accessed from when you're outside or inside the van and the van is closed up. I put these little latches or tie downs that I got from the boat shop. I think they're usually on boat canopies or ute canopies, and they just simply hold the drawers in when I'm driving. Then moving into the van, I've got a pretty big kitchen area, and then we use this space here just for dumping stuff and for serving up food. And then I've put this little flap up tray table here, and it's at the right height for me if I need to work on my laptop or need to do some writing or reading, and also for serving and eating food. Then moving through the van, we've got another little cupboard here where I tend to keep all my crockery and cutlery. I find it's easier to store stuff in boxes in the cupboard, so that way I'm not trying to dig into the back all the time, and when you open it up, because things move when you drive, they don't all fall out the cupboard. So it's pretty simple. I pull out a basket and I can get access to whatever is stored in there. I just use a butane canister stove. I find that the easiest. I don't tend to cook in the van very much, although I can when it's raining. This is held down by magnets, so it doesn't fall off or fly off when I'm driving. And then I can also pick up the unit and place it on the outside table for cooking outside. It's also great for preparation. If I need some more countertop space, I just remove the stove, and it just gives me a lot more space to work on. I didn't want to plumb in the LPG gas bottle, number one for safety and also for compliance purposes. There is no plumbed gas in this van. If I need to cook on a bigger stove, down in the cabinet below, I have a big cast iron cooker that I take outside and connect to an LPG gas bottle and cook on that outside. I had already bought a pretty nice 60-litre compressor fridge, so I decided to build a big pull-out drawer. Again, I hold them on with these little elastic tie-backs, and I simply open the drawer, and here I have my fridge. This is a Waco or Dometic fridge. I think the model number is CF50. It's a great little 12-volt compressor fridge. As far as size is concerned, I find that it's more than big enough. It's got these great basket system that you can pull out to get to the bottom. You can keep stuff on the side here that you need to access more frequently. And then as long as you pack it well, I can survive quite happily for a week. So this is the place where I store most of the kitchen cleaning and other equipment. Also inside here is the pump that I've installed for the tap. So the plumbing runs from the water tanks under the sofa bed, under the floor, and then up behind the wall, behind these cabinets, and then into this particular pump. This is what they call a pressure switch pump, So it's pretty cool because it basically allows you to operate your household tap or any style tap without having to flick a switch. It operates on the actual tap handle itself. I've got two big cupboards above where I keep all the spices and some foods and groceries and other bits and pieces. Again, they've got the 4-kilogram lift, and again I keep things in plastic boxes, so if I need to access anything, it's quick and easy. I just take the whole box out. So I don't have a lot of appliances that I need to charge. I usually want to charge my laptop, which I do on the inverter next to the battery, and then I have an iPhone and an iPad and maybe a couple of small other things. So at the moment I just have this one USB connection here. The fan that I chose is specifically for boats and RVs, and it's super quiet, so I can run it during the night and it doesn't bother me. I've chose to put it close to the sliding door and the opening window so that it can draw the fresh air from outside and into the van. Truthfully, I don't really use it that often, because as long as the sliding window is open and the roof ventilation is open, I get some good cross ventilation. This ventilation, roof ventilation, is pretty easy to use. I just unclip it on either side. It's got a handle that drops down and I can flick it up all the way. The nice thing is that the plastic lid catches all the air and draws it into the van. And if I've got the sliding window open and this open, with the insulation that I have in this vehicle, it generally keeps it pretty cool in the summer and pretty warm in the winter. When it does rain, which is a problem for the roof ventilation, you can drop it down to a lower level and then also clip it in with these little clips here. This particular unit has a block-out blind as well, and a mosquito net, which is great. And actually it has some built-in lighting if you really want some bright white light. The nice thing about having a roof window as opposed to windows around the side of the vehicle is that it keeps the vehicle fairly stealth. So when we're road tripping and we pull into a city late at night, this looks like a commercial vehicle, so we can just pull in, make the bed, pop the blinds up and sleep the night and no one even knows that you're there. So this is the main cupboard that I built in the van. I've built it a little bit shallower than the rest of the cabinetry here because I wanted a little bit more space to move around the kitchen, and it's great if someone's working in the kitchen and somebody else wants to pass you. It's nice and easy and it's not tight like most motorhomes. So the cupboard was originally designed to keep tables and chairs and the blinds and the blockouts for the windows, as well as the hose pipe for filling up the water tank. And the idea was I was originally going to put my clothes up in the top here. Because I do longer road trips, I've found that I need more storage space for food, so this tends to be food and bits and bobs, and I store my clothes in the other cupboard. I've also fitted a safe, which I bought from Bunnings, and it's a great place to lock your iPhone, your iPad and your wallet when you're going for a swim. I've got a couple of little flap-up tables. The first one's for the kitchen. This is very handy for putting stuff when you're working inside the van and equally when you're cooking out the back. It's kind of dual purpose. I can either set it up with this rack for extra workspace, or the other option is to bring the little small dish rack out for drying dishes. I've put a little groove there actually so that, and it sits at a fraction of an angle, so if anything wet goes here, the water lands outside the van and not back into the van. It works pretty well. We cook mostly outside this vehicle. I haven't finished the rear door yet. I have a temporary flap down table, but I will make a new one when I finish the rear doors here. I decided to add a little bit of fun to this van. I've put two little brackets up here, and then from eBay I bought this swing. I think I paid about, I don't know, about 20 bucks for it. It simply clips in here, nice and easy. And it's a great spot, once you've adjusted it, to check out the surf or have a coffee in the morning. It also helps and adds a little bit of internal seating if the doors are closed and you're all sitting inside. I always knew that I wanted a bathroom in my van, or half a bathroom. and I always knew that I wanted it at the back of the van. The main reason for me was that if you come out the water and you're sopping wet, or even if you're just out in the bush and it's raining, you can step in, and I've got a nice wet area here and I don't have to worry about spoiling the rest of the van. I've actually made a shower tray system here out of timber, and it's kind of dual purpose. It catches all the beach sand that gets brushed off through here, the dog food that falls through, and obviously any water from showering or dripping when you've come back from the surf. At the moment it doesn't drain out because I haven't put the holes in, but I've got the fittings, and I'll put the fittings in when I rejig the bathroom. Right now the van is, or the shower is plumbed to the main tanks under the sofa bed. I'll fill the main tanks up here, so it's nice and clean. If there's any spillage, it doesn't matter, there's all the wet area in the van. There's another pressure pump behind in the cupboard behind this tap, and it's pretty simple to use. I turn it on here, I grab the shower, and for the most part shower outside. So right at the moment I've built this box at the bottom. It's got a flap up hinge and a little opening door, and in here I keep some bits and pieces that often get wet. I keep the bin for the kitchen, but I also keep a plastic bucket toilet. Pretty crude, but it's pretty simple, and really it's used for emergencies only. So the guy I bought the van from had this ladder made, but not yet fitted. I've just made sure it's particularly secure, and I've latched it in place with some decent bolts and some decent washers so that it doesn't fall off or rattle. Hate heights, but I've got used to standing on the top of this van. So on the roof there's a number of things happening here. I've got 3 decent Rhino Rack roof bars. They're pretty solid. It's a great place to store stuff, from surfboards to toolboxes and all sorts of things. I've got the opening roof light here, just got to be careful when I'm moving around it that I don't damage it or break it. I've got the homemade awning on the roof to the left hand side, and then covering a large portion of the van is the 12-volt solar panel. This particular one I think was 265 or 275 watts, and then it feeds down through a hole in the roof with a little cover and charges the battery. More than sufficient for me. I've never ever run out of power. So I fitted the electrics onto the side panel here. All of the wires run under the walls and the floor. I've got some pretty nice lighting with a standard 240 volt switch here. This extra thing is just one of these Kmart little LED lights, so it's not actually part of the van. But I have individual switches. The top row are for the ceiling lights, and the bottom row are the ones that I use most frequently. So it's the kitchen under counter and these ones above the sofa. And then I also have a light in the step outside that shines on the floor. So if I need to illuminate outside, then that will work.